We start this morning with a developing story coming out of Israel. This is a live look at Gaza City. It is just after 1 in the afternoon there. In the last 30 minutes, NBC News reports Israel says it has retaken control of its territory despite reports of ongoing fighting and new breaches into southern towns. And while you were sleeping, we learned at least 4 American citizens have died in these attacks. We do not know their identities at this time. Also, more than 700 Israelis have been killed and more than 200 have been hurt. More than 2,000 have been hurt. This is devastating. The Israeli Prime Minister's office says more than 100 people have been taken hostage by Hamas, the terrorist group. The current attack from the terrorist group Hamas, who controls the Gaza Strip on the western side of the country. This all started in an attack against Israel on Saturday. This conflict is hitting so close for home for many law enforcement officers here in the metro. Christie Diez joining us in studio this morning. Christie, you've learned that Atlanta has a long relationship with training officers in Israel.
This is true. Police chiefs, sheriffs, even the former GBI director has helped train officers in Israel on best practices in community policing and safety. It's through a group called GILI, the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, based out of Georgia State University and run by a man who called Israel home. This delegation of Metro Atlanta law enforcement just took a trip to Israel this summer, making the images they're seeing now all the more heartbreaking.
This is a new level of brutality. That's human savagery that is simply unacceptable.
Dr. Robert Friedman could only talk by phone this weekend, but he couldn't keep the emotion from his voice. His beautiful home country under attack. 30 years ago, he started GILI, the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, an international program that helps train law enforcement around the world, often taking trips to Israel to train on the ground, sometimes hosting Israeli officers here in Atlanta to learn about community policing and homeland security.
We have had all of the chiefs of the Atlanta police participated in it. Many of the chiefs from around the state participated in it.
The delegation just traveled to Israel in June. Thompson Police Chief Courtney Gale was on that trip.
We would have briefings every morning when we would go on excursions. Their hospitality was incredible. They brought us into their homes. They really opened doors to show us what their day-to-day life was.
To see the country now, only 4 months later, is hard to swallow.
Tel Aviv is comparable to Atlanta. So when people are trying to imagine what this is like, think about something catastrophic like this happening in Atlanta to one of our police stations.
Do you think they're drawing on some of the lessons learned during this training as they, meet this crisis right now?
Yes.
Chief Gale says the attack touches home for her. She says 3 of the police chiefs they worked with were killed, including Lieutenant Colonel J.R. Davidoff, chief of the Rahat Police, who hosted them this summer.
Everyone was very impressed with him as a very promising officer that had a tremendous career.
Pain that is still raw as the situation in Israel continues to develop. Chief Gale says they are working to get more information about what their friends and colleagues in Israel need so they can provide aid and support. She says if the public feels compelled to help, you can donate to GILI. I'll put the link in this story on the website.
Christy, thank you. And there are a couple of events happening here at home to show support for Israel. Tonight at 7:30, there's going to be an evening of prayer and unity at Chabad of Cobb in Marietta. Then tomorrow night at 7:30, there will be a gathering of support for Israel at the City Springs Performing Arts Center in Sandy Springs. Later this morning, NBC News will have live team coverage today from Tel Aviv, Israel, as well as updates and analysis from Washington, D.C. and New York. That is coming up right after 11 Alive Morning News.